Mr. Dulles, when Khrushchev was here, did you get a chance to talk with him?
Yes, it took place at the dinner that President Eisenhower gave for Khrushchev. The president introduced me and said, "This is Mr. Dulles." He's got a kind of a twinkle in his eye, and he said, "Oh, yes, I know you. I read your reports." We all pay the same agents, and we all get the same reports.
As far as I know, we don't engage in assassinations and kidnappings and things of that kind. As far as I know, we never have.
No capitalist.
Do you think that do you think that Syria is in danger of going communist?
The idea that the CIA is always engaged in overthrowing governments, that's false. That's for the birds.
Now, before we go any further, we'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the musicians.
The ballot or the bullet?
Il est 16h03 à l'aérodrome de Neuilly. Il y a actuellement une activité, une agitation intense à l'occasion de l'arrivée de Sa Majesté le roi Baudouin. Et voilà, le roi apparaît dans son grand uniforme blanc ivoire. Il serre la main au chef de l'État, M. Joseph Kasavubu, et il serre la main à M. Lumumba, Premier ministre.
L'indépendance du Congo constitue l'aboutissement de l'œuvre conçue par le génie du roi Léopold II, entreprise par lui avec un courage tenace et continuée avec persévérance par la Belgique.
Combattants de l'indépendance, aujourd'hui victorieux, je vous salue au nom du gouvernement congolais. À vous tous, mes amis, qui avez lutté sans relâche, une lutte indispensable pour mettre fin à l'humiliant esclavage qui nous était imposé par la force. je vous demande de faire de ce 30 juillet 1960 une date illustre que vous garderez ineffaçablement gravée dans vos cœurs. Nous avons connu les ironies, les insultes, les coups que nous devions subir matin, midi et soir, parce que nous étions des nègres.
Today, Africa is one of the most vital links in the Soviet chain of world conquest. Its untouched natural wealth has perhaps a greater potential than that of the rest of the world combined. Strategically, the key to Africa is the Congo, and the key to the Congo is the state of Katanga. But the prize catch for the communists is Katanga's mighty Union Minière, an internationally owned mine which supplied the United States with element U-235, an ingredient vital in the production of the first atomic bomb.
There was no one in the United Nations who did not give a damn what Washington said. Washington wielded tremendous influence in the UN. Americans had always been kept in, and Russians always kept out. If there was any cabinet for the Congo operation, it was not the Security Council, but the highly informal Congo Club on the 38th floor. The Russians, however, were not part of that club.
The story of our times is the story of revolution. This is the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. But the most vivid records of the triumphs and the ironies of this 20th century are kept right here.
La trahison des images est le titre d'un tableau représentant une pipe et sous laquelle se trouve une inscription. Ceci n'est pas une pipe, car l'image d'une pipe n'est pas une pipe.
This is an interview with Ambassador William Burton.
I was a lifelong friend of Allen Dulles, brother of Secretary Dulles. I was able to talk with him about the problems in the Congo before I went to Belgium. I knew a great many people in the Union Minière who had direct knowledge of Congo affairs, who were much more realistic about what was likely to happen. Belgians were sort of toying with the idea of seeing that Lumumba was assassinated. I went beyond my instructions and said, well, I didn't think it would be a bad idea either. Lumumba was such a damn nuisance, it was perfectly obvious that the way to get rid of him was through political assassination.
This is Leopoldville, the morning after President Kasavubu's sensational announcement on the Congo radio that he had dismissed Prime Minister Lumumba. Meanwhile, airports were closed and Lumumba was denied the use of the radio station, which was shut down by the UN troops.
Это позорное дело. Войска ООН, которые по просьбе законного правительства посланы в помощь этому правительству Патриса Лумумба, оккупировали аэродромы, заняли радиостанцию. Эти войска создали условия для предательских действий марионетки в Конго.
Next day, an emergency session of Parliament.
The members of Parliament here are discussing whether Mr. Kasavubu or Mr. Lumumba's government is the authority in the Congo.
Once you get really good inside intelligence about any group, you are able to learn what the levers of power are and what each man fears from another, and what each man will credit another man with being capable of doing. It's all a matter of inside knowledge.
You're almost talking in riddles. What do you mean by that?
You set people very discreetly against one another.
Right.
They destroy each other.
At the end of the chaotic debate, Lumumba went to the rostrum. He spoke quietly and skillfully.
Et nous n'acceptons aucune intervention d'où qu'elle vienne. Que le Congo ne deviendra jamais une colonie de l'ONU, c'est une reconquête.
After hearing Lumumba's speech, the MPs voted to invalidate the decrees of both Kasavubu and Lumumba, dismissing one another.
The night before the vote, we counted the heads going down everywhere. We had the election.
Did you buy vote?
I'm not going to answer that one. I'm sorry. Don't comment. Put it that way. The following day, we had 2 votes. I lost.
The Senate had given Lumumba a vote of confidence by 41 votes to 2.
Le renversement du gouvernement, toute la campagne faite contre moi, est interprétée par le peuple congolais comme une campagne contre l'indépendance que nous venons de conquérir. Vive Lumumba,
Nasser and Nkrumah threatened to withdraw their troops from the UN force. Hammarskjöld had to make a serious effort to recover their confidence. But he was opposed by the Western powers, who feared that he would bring Lumumba back into the picture.
How much money do you suppose the Central Intelligence Agency has poured into the Congo?
I don't know. Are you prepared to say?
I certainly, of course, don't know. I wonder if it's quite honest to represent our policy as completely angelic.
The one name that kept coming up was Joseph Désiré Mobutu.
Colonel Mobutu's loyalty has been swinging between Lumumba and Kasavubu.
You say that A is sleeping with B's wife?
Yes. What a pity that so-and-so is so indiscreet. Not much more. Of course, there are much more sophisticated operations than that.
What kind of sophisticated operation?
Ah, that I couldn't possibly tell you.
Darling, are you enjoying the good things in life? Why am I so interested in pipe tobacco? Darling.
Allô, allô. Ici le colonel Mobutu qui vous parle de Léopoldville. L'armée nationale congolaise a décidé de neutraliser le chef de l'État. Il ne s'agit pas d'un coup d'État militaire.
Ah, c'est évident. C'est évident que l'image d'une pipe n'est pas une pipe.
The CIA tended to support very extreme right-wing groups in foreign countries because of an obsession with communism and have set back democratic possibilities in foreign countries.
I think just the opposite is the case.
I got considerable help from King, who is quite an intelligent man and has quite a bit of power in certain sections of the Belgian government. The royal family originally had the Congo as personal property and was then given by Leopold to the Belgian government, but the power of the royal family in the Congo remained very great, and a great deal of the reporting by the military of the Congo went directly to the royal family.
Para asistir a la 15ª sesión de la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas, parte hacia Nueva York la delegación cubana, presidida por el primer ministro y líder de la revolución, Fidel Castro.
That's something that's so funny. But I look at that feeling, I get messed up myself.
At least 16 African nations are to be admitted for the opening of the United Nations 15th General Assembly. Already momentous on the Congo issue. A score of heads of government will be present, a dramatic setting with global stakes at issue.
Завтра носите огромные студентской делегации было отказано в гостинице. И он угрожает, что он, как бывший партизан, разобьет палатку на площади около здания Объединенных Наций.
Let me ask you, Mr. X, why did you visit Fidel Castro this morning?
Well, because of the trouble in Africa, in the Congo, and other places, it has caused a great deal of tension in Harlem. We were led up to the 9th floor and into Dr. Castro's room. He greeted us very cordially. We sat down. The room wasn't so big. My impression of Fidel Castro was that he was a man who seemed to have the genuine interest of his people at heart.
Well, it's been suggested that there might be some international intrigue here because of Malcolm's travels to Africa, his contacts with Nasser.
The CIA was indeed very closely watching Malcolm. Of special concern was his effectiveness in Africa. He had submitted an 8-page memorandum to a meeting of the heads of 33 African nations calling for their support in his pending move to take America before the United Nations for violating the Afro-Americans' human rights.
It's a human problem, not an American problem or a Negro problem. And as a world problem, we feel that it should be taken out of the jurisdiction of the United States government and the United States courts in the same manner that the problems of the black man in South Africa, Angola, and other parts of the world are taken into the United Nations because of violation of human rights. We believe that our problem is one not a violation of civil rights, but a violation of human rights. Not only are we denied the right to be a citizen in the United States, we're denied the right to be a human being.
I would suggest that when the Charter of the United Nations comes to be revised, a permanent seat should be created for Africa on the Security Council in view not only of the growing number of African members of the United Nations, but also of the increasing importance of the African continent in world affairs.
Within a few days of taking my seat in the UN, I was contacted by the American arm twister. Arm twisters was a concept little heard of in public discussions of the United Nations, but absolutely central to its actual workings. Arm twisters were usually American delegates whose function was to influence crucial votes, smell out possible recalcitrance, and deal with it.
We were doing just as much manipulation as we could to win the votes through the United Nations.
How do they deal with this? I mean, was this a matter of payoffs?
I was aware that the CIA, to some extent, was also contacting people. That every once in a while I was confused by an African as to whether I was a satchel carrier or not.
Dealing with it could include bribery or blackmail. Countries in which there were corporate interests would receive less subtle hints.
I started a public relations office in New York and spent most of my time at the UN visiting Africans and encouraging them. Now, we figured if Kasavubu seated his delegation at the United Nations, it would be a pro-American one, and Lumumba seated his, God knows what it would be. So, Ambassador Timberlake, who was a great friend of mine, he had been the best man at my wedding in Bombay. He asked if I would take on the job of looking after Kasavubu. The expenses would be met. With a little bit of engineering, we got Kasavubu into the United Nations.
À ma qualité de président de la République du Congo, de vous communiquer officiellement la composition de ma délégation.
Long about 1955, they had the Bandung Conference in Indonesia. And at that time, the Africans, the Asians, the Arabs, all of the non-white people got together and agreed to de-emphasize their differences and emphasize what they had in common.
In New York, the dramatic parade of major world figures across the stage of history continues. At Harlem's Hotel Teresa, in a heavy press of security guards holding back throngs of demonstrators, Nasser and Fidel Castro begin a 90-minute talk.
And it was the spirit of Bandung that made it possible for nations that didn't have a chance to become independent.
India, representado por Nehru. Ghana, representado por Krumah. Ambos gobernantes reciben... Fidel Castro se dispone a pronunciar el histórico discurso que representa por vez primera la voz rebelde de los pueblos de América Latina.
El caso de Cuba es como el caso del Congo. La mano de los intereses colonialistas ha estado clara. Nosotros condenemos la forma en que se llevó a cabo la intervención de las fuerzas de las Naciones Unidas en el Congo. El único líder que se quedó allí defendiendo los intereses de su patria es Lumumba.
President Eisenhower arrived at the 1960 session of the United Nations General Assembly, one of the most momentous diplomatic gatherings in modern history.
Ah, here's a little French tune we gonna swing for you.
Hold me close and hold me fast. The magic spell, you guess. This is Lovely and Rose.
It had become clear that there could be no Congolese government with Lumumba at its head.
With the international commitments of Ghana, Guinea, of Cairo, Moscow, and Delhi, all on Lumumba's side, one wonders whether they can afford to do nothing about it.
To your heart, I'm in a world apart. World where roses.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for killing people?
We have indeed.
No, don't point it at me. Now, does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman.
Does the target know he's been hit and about to die?
A special dart was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
Now let's talk about this tour of Africa. Was it your idea?
No, it was in the State Department.
Well, mind you don't get kidnapped in the Congo.
Why nobody gonna kidnap me?
What was the connection between the activities of the CIA and the higher levels of the government, and how much the president may have known concerning CIA complicity in assassination attempts?
The people of the Congo are entitled to build up their country in peace and freedom. Intervention by other nations in their internal affairs would create a focus of conflict in the heart of Africa.
Cornered from the embassy was Café de la Presse, and seated out on the terrace was a man I recognized. He said, "I'm Joe from Paris. We have a lot to talk about." There, I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, you have to assassinate Lumumba."
He used those words?
Yes.
Just as clearly as you say it to me now?
Yes. He said, "I have been instructed to provide you with some poisons."
But who ordered him?
He said, "President Eisenhower."
The report says it is reasonable to infer that President Eisenhower ordered the CIA to try to kill Lumumba of the Congo.
I propose to refrain from intervening in these new nations' internal affairs by subversion, force, propaganda, or any other means. Thank you, and God bless you.
How do you do? This is Willis Conover in Washington, D.C.
We were to go to Elizabethville to attend a concert given by Louis Armstrong. I went, and Ambassador Timberlake and Julie, his wife, the wives were there to make it appear that this was a social thing.
Vous êtes ce qu'on appelle un Simba.
Oui, je suis Simba.
Quel âge avez-vous?
J'ai 20 ans.
20 ans tout juste.
Tout juste.
How do you think you would feel right now if some Congolese brothers walked up to you? They look just like you. Don't think you don't look Congolese. You look as much Congolese as the Congolese does. How would you feel if one of them walked up to you and asked you about what your government is doing in the Congo? I was asked that when I was over there. But you have no explanation. Your tongue stays in your mouth.
Shoot at the lot, destroy them, burn the village, and kill the chickens and goats.
Well, didn't you feel unhappy working in that kind of setup?
No, I thought it was a great life, mate. With no regular hours, nice weather. Money was piling up in the bank.
Working under the instructions of people that ordered you to kill women and children, wipe out villages.
Yeah, well, that was the Belgians' idea. They said the women were worse than the men.
But they were fighting for themselves, whereas you were fighting for money.
Yeah, but we were the cannibals, you know, for a start. So, I mean, they didn't cast them anyways. As normal people, you know, I mean, like shooting, say, Irishmen or even Germans.
Vous-même, personnellement, est-ce que vous auriez exécuté des Européens?
Oui, je les aurais exécutés parce que, vu comment on nous bombardait, c'était comme on tue des bêtes sauvages.
But when a black man strikes back, he's an extremist. He's supposed to sit passively and have no feelings, be nonviolent, and love his enemy. No matter what kind of attack, be it verbal or otherwise, he's supposed to take it. But if he stands up and in any way tries to defend himself, then he's an extremist.
Des fois, les militaires prennent les villageois, ils les entourent comme ça. Ils appellent. Si c'est ton fils ou c'est ta fille, tu dois faire l'amour avec devant tout le monde.
Denn ich kämpfe in Afrika für unsere freiheitliche Demokratie. Unsere Operation im Kongo, das ist eine NATO-Operation. Shakopeti kam gerade an. Ich erhielt eine Information von General Mobutu, das berechtigt ist, Fotoaufnahmen zu machen. Ich weiß, Shakopeti arbeitet als ein guter Regisseur. Vielleicht hat er gesagt, hören Sie mal, hier ist ein Mann zu erschießen, stellen Sie mal ein bisschen links, damit die Sonne ein bisschen besser scheint. Wenn ich in Leopoldville war, des Öfteren das Goethe-Institut besucht. Sicherlich ist es eine Institution der Bundesrepublik, aber ich möchte sagen, wir haben etwas, was zweifach läuft. Die offizielle Politik und die inoffizielle. Ich habe auch Klavierkonzerte besucht auf dem Goethe-Institut. Ich bin nicht ein Mensch, der nur Neger killt.
I think we overrated the Soviet danger in the Congo.
Мабутовские бандиты подвергли пленников зверскому обращению и издевательствам. По его приказу, при поддержке американских и бельгийских колонизаторов, были арестованы премьер-министр законного правительства Конго Патрис Лумумба и его соратники.
Колонизаторы говорят, что Лумумба коммунист. Конечно, Лумумба не коммунист, но он патриот своей страны. Не пора ли перейти к завершающему наступлению на колониализм? Но еще не все осознали силу и правду свою, и поэтому они еще идут за вчерашними своими вешателями, колонизаторами. Сегодня это так, завтра этого не будет. Не будет этого. Народ поднимется, расправит свою спину, и он захочет быть хозяином и не будет, понимаете, лакеем, не будет рабом колонизаторов. Это, заметьте, господа, это будет недалекое завтра. Конец, могила колониальному рабству. Долой его и похоронить его чем глубже, тем лучше.
Мы чувствовали, что Америка вынуждена будет, крепя сердце, голосовать вместе с нами за эту декларацию. Тут мы поставили Соединенные Штаты перед такой дилеммой. Если выступить против наших предложений, они себя относят к странам-колонизаторам.
And one of the things that's going to help to bring this about is the independence of Africa. We begin to identify with it. And your Western imperialists and colonialists consider this to be a grave threat. More threat than communism or Marxism or socialism. The Africanism is what they consider to be the real threat.
A soldier tries to stuff into Lumumba's mouth a crumpled speech.
United Arab Republic, yes. Ethiopia, yes. Soviet Union, yes. India, yes. Nigeria, yes. Belgium, abstain. United States, abstain.
Declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples has accordingly been adopted by the Assembly.
And there was Asian-African unanimity in the United Nations General Assembly on the Declaration Against Colonialism, in which won 89 votes.
C'est nous-mêmes qui devons écrire notre propre histoire. Il y a aussi ouverture de la frontière du Zaïre à l'époque, décidée par les Occidentaux. C'est la résolution 929 de l'ONU. Je la connais jusqu'aujourd'hui par cœur, parce que c'est ce jour-là, je pouvais vous décrire les génocides, le génocide après le génocide et la guerre du Congo, en 5 minutes.
Vous allez vous trouver le 17 janvier 61 à l'aérodrome d'Elisabethville. Et c'est ce jour-là qu'arrivent Lumumba, Mpolo et Okito. Comment vous étiez à cette heure-là à l'aérodrome des Villes?
J'ai été avisé qu'on amenait un collier important, et le collier important était les 3 personnes en question.
Comment était-il à ce moment-là? En plus d'être, ils étaient vivants, bien sûr, mais dans quel état?
Vivants, autant que je puisse en juger, de la distance où j'étais, ne devait pas être particulièrement mourant.
We have all learned this morning by the Katanga authorities of the reported death of Patrice Lumumba and 2 of his colleagues. The issue then is simply this: shall the United Nations survive? Shall the attempt to bring about peace by the concerted power of international understanding be discarded?